Wreck My Podcast.
It's the movie that was made specifically for this podcast. We cover the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers reboot movie and don't regret our decision for once. This week on Wreck My Childhood.
Wreck My Podcast.
Welcome into Wreck My Podcast. For this week, we're talking about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This was one I thought we were going to cover more as a joke, but ended up being super fun, which is always a nice surprise when that happens. I'm here with my guest this week. He maps his runs in the shape of a butt. It's Cam.
You guys cops.
That part was awesome. You got the stinky cheese.
And he's like, stinky cheese. You guys got.
I love his like eyebrows, just like
Yeah, just like all muppety. It was amazing.
So great. He's not a second banana. He's a Chiquita banana. It's Joe.
It's no secret I got the CGI treatment.
Looking real high def over there, Joe. Looking real good. And then I'm your host. I don't eat whale. My name's Jordan. That whole rap part was
amazing.
I'm saying my name is Dale, and I don't eat whale.
Don't eat whale.
Now I can't think of anything but whale because now I said whale, and whale is in my head. Oh my gosh, this whole movie is just like Andy Samberg, the movie. Seriously.
Yes, it's his brain. It's only
I was shocked that he didn't write this. I thought I was going to look it up and he was going to have written this movie because it's 100% his comedy style through the whole thing.
Oh, totally.
But I also was going to say if Krager was here, I was going to say he's a bootleg Joe Janero, but
it's pretty funny.
He's not here.
It's a good one.
He's not
I had
here.
to mention it because I'm sure Joe Janero would really appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So let me do Jordan Explains the movie real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about what we thought of this movie.
All right.
Oh yes, it's time for Jordan to explain the movie quickly.
After a falling out, Chip and Dale need to reunite to find their friend Monterey Jack. It's Who Framed Roger Rabbit for the modern age, and a real slap in the face to Space Jam: A New Legacy. So
I think that's perfect.
This movie did exactly what Space Jam did, right? Like they took every IP they had because now Disney has their own IP and Fox's IP, right?
Yeah.
21st Century Fox. So they were able, there were some times where I was like, how did they get that in here? I'm like, because they own that now. Like,
They own everything.
Yeah. And so I was like, but it wasn't done so much that you couldn't pick everything out. Like Space Jam, it was just like, I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like I need to watch it again just to actually recognize all the pop culture references, everything that's in there, all the little Easter eggs. There's so much going on in this movie.
There were so many, and there were so many deep cuts too of like just cartoons I totally forgot even existed. Yeah,
man.
It was
wonderful. Things that you wouldn't think would be a thing anymore. Like I love Ugly Sonic.
Oh my gosh, dude! Can we talk about Ugly Sonic for a second?
Oh, the zoom-ins on his human teeth while he's talking.
When that happened, I was like, "This is not going to relate at all." Like 10 years from now, like no one's going to know what this even is. But right now, this is perfect.
It's the best.
They're not going for longevity; they're going for the jokes for like today's audience.
Oh
but
yeah,
I freaking love when Ugly Sonic showed up. And it's funny because Tim Robinson voices Ugly Sonic.
Yes.
Like,
and I love him.
That's so funny. And he was in this movie way more than I thought he was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a quick joke, like, it's Ugly Sonic, but he keeps showing up all the time.
I love too. He's like, oh, I can't run fast. That's the other guy.
When he's yelling down at him from the helicopter, he's like, oh, damn, I bit my tongue with these stupid human teeth.
Or when he's talking and it just automatically starts going into like this slow-mo of him moving his lips.
Just
as if he's moving really fast.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the
so
best.
Good.
So have you guys, let's wind it back a little bit. Were you guys fans of the late 80s, early 90s Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers animated TV show?
I remember liking it. I never was like, oh man, I gotta watch this. Like I can't miss it. But anytime it was on, I'd watch it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Joe?
Watching it, it looked familiar, but I don't recall ever watching the show.
Mm-hmm. So I know I watched it because I used to watch like DuckTales, Tailspin, Chip and Dale, But the thing I remember most about Chip and Dale is I remember at one of the Disney parks in Florida, they had like when I was real young, my parents took me to like a stage show that they had in the park, and it was Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on stage. And that's the thing I remember most about this like property is that show.
Weird.
It's so weird, but like,
Yeah.
I don't remember any of the plots of like the TV show or any of that, but I know I watched it.
I recognized all the characters. Like I knew who they were.
Mm-hmm, me too. Yeah, I remember all that. But like, so at first I was like, oh no, is this going to lean too much into like you have to kind of know Chip and Dale to really know what's going on? And you don't.
And
not
the
at
answer
all.
is not
at all. Not
I don't
at all.
really know Chip and Dale, and I loved it.
You need like a basic knowledge of the names of some of the characters, and that's it.
You don't even need that.
Because they explain
very
it to you.
Intro of it explains it all. You don't even need to know any background of the show.
Yeah, and the fact that Chip and Dale, like they just are like, this world where like, you know, Muppets and humans and cartoon characters all live, and the cartoon characters are actually performing in front of a camera.
They're
instead
actors.
Of being drawn. They're actors.
Yeah.
I'm like, this whole idea is just ingenious.
It's ingenious.
Love that like Roger Rabbit style.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and they pulled it off so well. The only complaint I have about this movie is I felt like any time that Kiki Lane was in it, the girl who plays Ellie, I felt like her acting was a bit stiff, and I feel like it was probably more direction than anything, but I feel like her eye levels were off the whole time.
That's directing, and it's not that isn't 100% her fault. That's with different camera positioning and stuff like that, because they had to add that shit in later. So
yeah.
That's an easy fix.
So that's the only thing I felt like was a little off from, like, the acting for her felt a little stiff, and like they didn't do great camera work when she was involved, but she wasn't in it for the most part. She was pretty tertiary in this. It was mostly Chip and Dale who were like the mains of the show.
This movie made me think that it would be very difficult to fight Gumby.
Yes, it would.
Seriously. Yeah.
Speaking of that character, I loved when he just like put his hand down to pick up the print and then just shaved it off with that tool.
So funny.
So funny. And like when he's walking away and he's like, you know, kind of like Silly Putty. Does anyone else remember that stuff?
Anyone else remember Silly Putty? Yeah. Sometimes the joke is just them pointing out nostalgia and maybe being like, here's nostalgia. Like, that's the joke of it, you know? Like, I love it. One of my favorite parts, too, was because Seth Rogen, he voices a character who's like a weird, uncanny Valley Viking. But there's
from
a moment,
Polar Express.
Yeah, the Polar Express eyes. But there's a part where like he falls down, and then Pumbaa and like a few other characters pop up, and they're all voiced by him.
And they all just do his laugh. Like all of them are like,
it was the best ever. It was so good.
Every time they did the laugh with him on screen, I lost it.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
There were so many laugh out loud moments in this movie. It was great. Yeah.
I watched that. The first time I watched it at work on my cell phone, like while I was grading. And I ended up having to pause it to be like, I have to watch this at home where I can pay attention.
Yes.
Like I was just going to have it out in the background, and I couldn't do it.
There's so many good moments in this one. And you want to catch all those Easter eggs that are going on. They even had musical cues of Easter eggs. Like the moment where Sweet Pete, who ends up being Peter Pan as an old man, is like chasing after them at the convention. They play the "You Can Fly" song in the background, but he's like trying to fly and he can't. But my favorite part was when Gumby, or Captain Putty, he's like coming under the door, and you hear the dun 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 dun. And I'm like, this is amazing.
It's so good. Oh God,
I loved it. So, what do you guys think, like grade wise, like? Out of 10, what would you give this?
I give this a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I would happily watch it again tonight.
I was actually going to say it is one of the few movies we've done on this cast where I am like, I really want to watch this again.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like 9 to 9.5, 100% all the way. Like this movie
100
just shocked me how good it was. I was
blew me away.
Yeah. Blew you away like
Baloo. Also Baloo.
And it was the
Baloo's just like at a convention. It's like the live action one. He's wearing like a V-neck and like has sunglasses on.
And then like Jimmy the polar bear or whatever is like, hey man, who's supposed to be the Coca-Cola bear? I love it. It's so good. Did you guys see one of the characters? I saw Stan Marsh real quick in the sauna.
Yeah, he was in the sauna.
That was one of the times where I was like, I don't actually think they own the rights to South Park. I think
Well,
they probably had to ask for permission on that one.
Well, yeah, maybe, but they also did spoofs of like Jurassic Park and things like that, and
Yeah,
that's
true.
Universal.
That's
so
true.
I'm wondering. I just figured they were covered under
Parody.
Parody law?
Parody laws.
Well,
spoof
I could
laws.
see that parody law with the Jurassic Park one because it was like kind of a spoof on it, but just having like Stan Marsh just sitting there, I'm like, that's not really parody. That's just Stan Marsh chilling in the sauna, being like, I thought this was America, you know? Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I'm all for this movie. So if you listening out there, if you haven't checked it out yet, you really need to check it out because this movie is totally worth it.
It's a nostalgia and pop culture dream.
100%.
And just a good fun story too.
Yeah, it's a very innovative story. Very innovative. It's definitely the Roger Rabbit of like our time. 100%.
Yeah.
So I loved at the beginning too. I was like, let's be honest. The Chip and Dale strippers are the first thing you think of because he does the whole spiel where he's like, when you think of Chip and Dale, the first thing you think of is like this. And the second thing you think of is the strippers. And the third thing you think of are us. Yeah. And I'm like, no, the first thing you think of is the strippers for sure.
But the best part is they bring that back later in the movie when he's like in the locker room and they were like, oh, good show today, guys.
So funny.
And they're like, oh, the ironic performer wants to come out with us.
Yeah, this movie has so many subtle, like they have so much stuff in your face, but they also have so much subtle stuff too. Mm-hmm. It's like amazing. I also was wondering how they got the rights to Ugly Sonic because isn't Sonic owned by another company? And then I started thinking like, well, Ugly Sonic technically isn't owned by anyone, is it? Like they didn't end up using it.
No, they didn't use it.
Which I love the fact
it would
that,
be
like,
owned by someone, right?
It would probably be owned by the production company that produced the CGI for it, which Disney could have bought from them.
I could see that.
Yeah, that could make sense.
Yeah, because I mean, they would sell it for anything? Who's
buying
what
would
the
they
want
to keep
Ugly
this
Sonic?
asset for? Yeah, no one wants this asset. Like it's dumb. I love that there was a moment where there was a sheep. They were like, pull the wool over the sheep's eyes, and I'm almost positive that's from Wallace and Gromit.
Yes.
I was like, oh, dude, I have not thought of Wallace and Gromit in forever.
There's so many little jokes like that. Like when when Dale first hits Chip over the head with the pipe, and it cuts to like the birds, and the birds alarm's going off.
And he's like, do you really have to go now? He's like,
you have to go.
I told you, it's my job. Just the idea that these little things have like lives of their own.
Yes.
It's the best.
Brilliant.
Also, the coolest thing that we find out is Chip listens to death metal. Like when he's walking home and he pulls his earbuds out, there's like a death metal song. Yeah, I was like, so Chip, you go, Chip.
And he's got like a full-size actual dog.
I know, that was funny. That was hilarious. Fast and Furious Babies. Want to watch that? Mr. Doubtfire. I want to see Meryl Streep that.
Yes,
and then Batman versus E.T. I died.
Oh, man.
It was so funny. It was the great, like some of the like bootleg versions and reimagining of things they came up with. I'm like, this would be being in the writer's room
like
for this.
Little Mermaid. Wasn't the Little Mermaid? Was it like Fish Girl? Was it like singing Fish Girl?
Tiny singing Fish Girl or something? Yeah,
yeah.
So good, so good.
Oh man.
I love too that even Main Street from Disneyland makes a cameo in this movie.
Right.
I was dying. Yeah. It's Main Street.
Also, how they're just like, they got to go to the valley and they just like hate it.
The uncanny valley. Yeah, because anyone who lives, because this was all filmed in Los Angeles, anyone who lives in LA knows you don't want to go to the valley if you don't have to. But the fact that it's the uncanny valley, dying. I was so dead.
So good.
And the fact that the live action Cats movie.
Oh, yeah, they were there.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good.
It's so amazing. True, though. The valley sucks. Every time I drive through there, I'm just like, I hate the valley.
The valley sucks.
Yeah, we don't have a valley out here. There's no heights or lows, so we have the flats. You don't want to go into the flat. Don't want to do that here.
Are they rascally?
They're rascally, yeah.
Or are they salt?
Life is a highway, man. Just keep on driving, or whatever they say.
Life is a highway, just keep on driving.
That's what I think the lyrics are. I love that Sweet Pete is the Peter Pan is older, but when they were saying Sweet Pete, I thought it was going to end up being like PJ from the Goof Troop or something.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
And then Pete actually shows up later from the Goof Troop.
He does.
And I was like, And he was like playing Aladdin. I was like, wait, this makes no sense whatsoever. I love that. Was amazing. That was so good.
I love too where they were like, they gave you a Snoopy ear.
A Snoopy ear for so long. And then also Peter Pan says bangarang, which I'm like, dude, from Hook. That's so funny.
Hook reference.
That's so funny.
Dude, yeah.
I love it.
So many layers.
So many layers.
This movie is just brilliant.
Yeah. And also I love the fact that Butthead is running for senator. There's a park bench, Senator Butthead. Oh my God. Paul Rudd shows up.
Oh yeah,
yes.
It was originally supposed to be called Ant-Man. The
Ants love me. Oh my gosh. And then we talked about Jurassic Park showing up. Terminator 2 had quite a big like show up on there too. She like she sprays him with the stuff and breaks him.
Right.
But then the very last thing too, is funny is that Darkwing Duck shows up and is like, they should make a Darkwing Duck movie. And the funny thing is, they actually announced that they were going to make a Darkwing Duck movie a long time ago and never ended up doing it. So it's kind of like just a little jab of being like, oh yeah, this was supposed to happen before Chip and Dale, but it hasn't happened yet and everything. Which I would love a Darkwing Ducks movie. Like, I think that'd be fun. Cool.
I watched that more than I watched Chip and Dale.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
because Darkwing Duck was so cool.
It was dope.
Oh man! All right, so this movie came out May 20th, 2022. So what? 2 weeks ago. So
yesterday.
Yeah, very, very new. It's on Disney Plus. Do you guys want to guess what it has on Rotten Tomatoes? I will tell you this: critic and audience score is exactly the same.
Oh shit! 89.
I would go with the 78.
82.
Ooh,
yeah, pretty good. Certified fresh.
That's pretty good. That's a B.
Yeah,
it's very good, especially for like a PG kids movie that's like half animated, half not. Like that's pretty stellar. It was written by Dan Greger and Doug Mand. They've written a bunch of How I Met Your Mother episodes and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend episodes. So I was shocked that they wrote this because this was so good. And I'm like, you guys don't have much under your belt when it comes to writing. So
no,
I was kind of shocked by that. But
so what did Andy Samberg do then? Because Lonely Island is like very prominent in the credits.
Well, Andy Samberg just did the voice and some of the music. That's all they did. But here's the thing. This was directed by Akiva Schaffer, who is a longtime collaborator with Andy Samberg. He directed.
Akiva is in Lonely Island.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so he not only is in Lonely Island, but he directed all the Lonely Island music videos. He directed Hot Rod. He directed Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, which makes sense because I think he's in it as well. He directed a ton of SNL episodes. He directed I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. And he also directed a ton of Brooklyn Nine-Nine episodes. So like Akiva Schaffer, Andy Samberg, they collab on like everything. Who's the third guy from Lonely Island?
Yorma something.
Yeah, I don't know.
His name's Yorma.
Yeah. I don't know if he shows up in a lot of other stuff than Lonely Island or not, but yeah, this.
I mean, if him directing that makes a ton of sense now.
Yeah, totally. And it's funny too
totally his vibe.
When we're in the 80s or 90, when we're in 1990 and they're like filming the actual Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers show, the director is Akiva.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was a fun little cameo there. I was like, oh, that's awesome. So pretty much Andy Samberg voices Dale. He's known from all the things I just mentioned above there. John Mullaney plays Chip, mostly known for Big Mouth, his stand-ups. Spider Ham is a big thing. And I didn't know this. He had a 1-season sitcom called Mullaney.
Yes, he did.
Never watched it.
It wasn't good.
No, not good. I guess that's why it only went 1 season.
Yeah. It got canceled.
Yeah. I mean, the number of voice actors in this is great in its own.
Oh, yeah. Let's go through it right now. Will Arnett, he plays Sweet Pete. Batman, Arrested Development. Eric Bana plays Monterey Jack. If you don't know him, he was the Bruce Banner in the 2003 Ang Lee Hulk movie. But he was also Nero in the Star Trek reboot that J.J. Abrams did. Flula Borg was in this for a hot minute.
He played that snake, right?
Snake DJ.
Yeah.
Keegan Michael Key, he voiced Cheesemonger.
Okay.
Tresk McNeil, she voiced Gadget because she is the voice of Gadget from the original series. Yeah. And she also voices Dot from the Animaniacs.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep. We have Tim Robinson, like I said, Ugly Sonic, Seth Rogen, J.K. Simmons is Captain
Yes.
Putty.
Best cop detective like voice.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Jim Cummings, the voice of Pooh, actually voiced the bootleg Pooh in this one, which was fun. Chris Parnell shows up as himself, or not himself, but like live action version of himself.
Which is basically just himself.
Which is just him. Yeah, it's just him. Lumiere was voiced by a guy named Jeff Bennett, who is also the voice of Johnny Bravo, which I thought was like a fun thing there. And then David Tennant voiced Scrooge McDuck in this. What is David Tennant doing here?
I don't know.
And then Paula Abdul voices the 3D reporter.
Yes.
Oh,
and
really?
Wasn't she in the back with MC Cool Cat?
Yeah, I think so.
At the bar where in the 80s or whatever.
I think so. Yeah.
And so she's dancing with like that guy from that Opposites Attract music video.
Yes. So those are like all the like voices and cameos and stuff. It's just chock full.
It's loaded.
Crazy. Yeah.
It definitely requires a couple watches to really get all of it.
Yeah, and the jokes are so funny. I died when Chip and Ellie are like captured, and Dale has to figure out how to rescue them, and they send like a secret code to watch a movie or watch one of the TV shows, and he comes up with this long-winded way it connects, and Chip's like, "Wow, you really figured it out that like this happens," and he goes, "Yeah, I told you." He's like, "You didn't. You came up with a really weird thing." He's like, "Yeah, mine had Thai food in it." The way he said that, I just died. How he said the delivery of that was so good. It's pretty much, he's just Jake Peralta is from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is all he is.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good.
He plays that type of character perfectly.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. All right, let's move into some fun facts here.
What is facts? Baby, they're fun. They're fun. Oh, yeah. What is facts? Baby, they're fun. They're fun. Oh, yeah.
So first fun fact is that before Darkwing Duck was called Darkwing Duck, it actually was called 00 Duck. And that's where they got the whole
Dale.
00 Dale idea for that. And there is an episode called 00 Chipmunks. And the premise is like Dale wants to become a secret spy. And that's the whole like just of it. So they kind of like are playing off the actual episode that exists as well. So here we go. Sweet Pete, who's just an older version of Peter Pan, explains that he turned to a life of crime after Disney threw him out like trash once he had performed in the original Peter Pan film. He grew up and couldn't be the immortal young boy anymore. This has an eerie parallel to the story of Bobby Driscoll, the voice actor of the original Peter Pan. He was a live-action actor as well, and when acne marred his entire face, Disney fired him. He showed up to work one day and was barred from entering the property. He ended up overdosing on drugs and dying in an abandoned building. So Sweet Pete's character arc may very well be a sad reference to the life of Bobby Driscoll.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. That's kind of crazy.
Dark. That's dark as fuck.
That's not a fun fact. That's just a fact. The password Peter Pan uses is 279, which is the Peter Pan Funko Pop ID number.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, weird tie in there.
Yeah.
Sweet Pete's transformation into that amalgamation of various characters is part Transformer, part Toy Story, part Wreck-It Ralph, and part Fat Cat. So those were like all the different parts of him. If you weren't able to pick them all out.
So since you just recently watched Wreck-It Ralph, you were able to get the reference where she was like, I'm gonna wreck it.
The big
hand. Oh man. The opening Disney castle is zapped the same way as the bootlegging mechanic seen later in the film. So when they zap the castle, you can see different parts of the castle are Elsa's ice castle from Frozen, Prince Eric's castle from The Little Mermaid, and the Sultan's palace from Aladdin. And then a little bit was the retro castle from The Incredibles introduction. So yeah, those were little fun facts there.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's Chip and Dale. I mean, we don't want to be too long-winded with this one. It's fairly new. We're riding the high right now. We're riding that wave.
Yeah.
We're loving it. We're telling you, go watch
this
it.
movie.
Yeah, go watch it. It's
ASAP.
great. It's just good comedy. It's good, wholesome comedy, too.
Yeah, watch it with your kids. It's great.
Your kids could watch this. It would totally they probably wouldn't get a lot of the stuff because of how much like nostalgia is there, but they would laugh at like all the potty humor. There's potty humor.
chaotic enough to keep their attention.
Yeah.
It's a kid movie that you will enjoy more than your kids.
Which is exactly what Walt Disney set out to do with Disneyland, right? A place where children and adults can enjoy it the same. I'm like, you did it with this movie. Good job, everyone involved.
Take notes, great. Space Jam.
Seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we covered that on the podcast. It was a huge disappointment. This one made up for it. Granted, two different studios, but
came out of the blue too. Who saw this movie coming?
I had no idea. No. I don't even think they dropped the trailer for this until like February of this year.
Right.
Like no one knew.
Like, when Cam first suggested this, I was like, oh, all right. And then I watched the trailer. I didn't even watch the full trailer. I made it through like 15, 20 seconds and I stopped it and I went, I'm in. I want to watch this.
John Mulaney's voice just is the perfect straight man delivery voice I've ever seen, which is ironic because he makes a joke about people think he's gay. But it's just the perfect, like, that's
the best.
Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, we need to get them in more stuff together.
Yes. So big thanks to Robbie for turning us on to
seriously.
this.
Oh, Robbie,
because I never was gonna watch it. I had zero intention. And
Robbie turns us on to the greatest stuff and the most awful stuff.
Yeah, but we could just gather that up and just say Robbie turns us on.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for it. Yeah. I'm there.
We need a Robbie's list.
Yeah, we do need a Robbie's list. We'll be right on the top of that one.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Go ahead and check it out. Also, what you should check out is some stuff on our website, wreckmypodcast.com. You can go to our Redbubble store. You can go to our Patreon. You can go to our Instagram or our YouTube. Do all that fun stuff. Leave us a rating or a review. Those are extremely appreciated. Hey, guys, I have a fan request that we're going to get to soon. Dermot from Australia, longtime fan of the show, asked us to do The Fifth Element. And I think we're going to do it. Because I think that's a movie that we all will love talking about.
And I haven't seen it in a while, so I would love to watch it again.
I haven't seen it in a long time either. It's been a while. So I think it's going to be a good one.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So get those identicards out and let's go floating around in a taxi cab. That's all I remember. I don't remember anything else.
I remember
Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman, and Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Tucker's like a weird opera guy, right?
Yeah,
he's
like
a comedian.
Is he a comedian?
The opera
guy?
Person is that blue alien that sings the opera.
That's right.
But he's like a comedian and like a performer, and he's got that weird hair that like shoots out in the front.
He's like an MC.
That's right. That's right. I'm stoked for it. So we'll cover that soon. But yeah, come back next week. I think maybe next week we're going to be doing Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, possibly.
Oh man, the second one.
Mm-hmm. So when we decided on doing this movie, I got really excited because I was like, yes, that means we're probably not going to do Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, nope. Nope. We're just taking a little hiatus, Joe. The podcast never forgets.
I was really hoping we were forgetting about Fallen Kingdom.
If we went through all of Twilight, we are doing all Jurassic Park.
I was just being hopeful. It was just going to be pushed to the side.
Abandon hope, all ye who enter here.
like that last half of our Brendan Fraser month.
I know, that's true. We really kind of dropped the ball on that. Yeah, we don't do good on long-term themes at all. But
we can't even stay on track in a show. How are we supposed to
Not at all. Not at all. That. We're so bad at that. Well, all right. We'll see you guys all next week.
Bye. I love you.
I like and I love you all.
Wreck My Podcast. Wreck My Podcast.